Well, I'm gonna throw the original carburetor back on the car. Okay. The float's sticking in that, and also the bracketry for the choke and stuff. So I'm gonna put the original carburetor back on. This is a 2-barrel, the original one's a single barrel, and the original air cleaner. Get that all squared away. Still gotta order up brakes for this so we can actually drive it down the road, but to grab the keys. Little spider hanging out in there. Oh, damn it. Wrong key. God. Well, what's going on here? Alright. Also gotta vacuum this out. There's a mouse nest over in that corner. Probably get to that today too. But here's the original carburetor. I'm gonna try and clean it up without, hopefully I won't have to pull it apart. I don't know. But a little bit of stuff inside. Ugh. Filter's a little dirty. It's the original carburetor. Not sure with that tag if it's original to the car, if this has been rebuilt once before by Ford or. But alright, well, I'm gonna get some brake cleaning, kind of clean this thing up. Well, got it all somewhat clean. It's not the cleanest, but it's a lot better than it was. Sprayed out the jets and everything. There was a lot of that rusty shit inside there. So I'll clean it up. I'm gonna hopefully do it without pulling the carburetor apart, but it should be okay, I would imagine. But anyways, I'm gonna get those cleaned up quick and then move on, and I'll pull the carburetor off the car. Original air filter and air cleaner in the car. So now we can fire it up and see if she'll run. I probably should have put this facing this way. So I did some research. This has like a winter prep package. So in the winter time they would aim the snout off the radiator to suck in warm air. But I had issues in the summer, the vapor locking, because it was sucking in hot air, so I'll probably switch that back around over to that side to pull in fresh air. But in the meantime, I'll try and fire this thing up. Should fire up now. There, no more vacuum leak. Just might have to adjust the idle now. See if I can get in there. I have to pull the air cleaner off again. I'm going to do a tune-up on this, so I don't want to adjust it too much because it could be fighting some other issues right now too, so. See, the gas gauge came back around. I had to replace that back in 2014, put a new fuel sending unit in, but now the choke works. I'll probably redo the tack. I'll do it right and I'll have it run through there, but yeah, next step's probably just gonna go through the brake system on this car and then start driving it this summer. It needs a clutch really bad, yellow too, so I'm sure I'll hopefully try and get around to that this summer too. Pull the motor out, reseal it, maybe paint it up nice, new clutch and all that stuff. Not sure if you can see it on camera, but she's smoking pretty good now. A little blue out of the tailpipe too, though. sure it's a tired motor. Well, pull all the junk out of the trunk. I'm gonna get ready and vacuum up all this mouse nest stuff and clean up the trunk again. Wonder if that's part of the car. Huh. Maybe some of you guys out there might know if that's a factory thing on the Falcons. There's one on this side too. That must have been part of the... Huh. Never seen that before. The mice got in it anyways, so... Must be a factory thing. Well, I'm gonna try this just to spray it, neutralize shit.